homie. The whole setup.
Set up the way.
Loaded, yeah, they loaded. All my homies with what? ABC, man. Keep it moving.
Hey, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that with the little
told me I can't do wrong. That's you know.
Alright, I'll check out.
Alright. Dance killer. Pulled up on you 2 times. I ain't gotta say it, cause baby, you know the damn vibes. Same damn fold on the gang is the same damn dying. How you
I don't like this guy. He beat me by freaking 12 points.
Oh God, I had to get off on your head, man.
Yeah, he beat me.
Hey, I looked at my division. My division shit. But as long as, like I'm saying, like for the next 3 weeks, I play all of y'all. Those are gonna be the games.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Joe ain't on your side. Joe ain't in your division.
No, my division is.
Oh, you lucked up.
B, Allen, Katie, and TJ.
Oh, you lucked up. Joe a motherfucker.
I saw. Like I told everybody, Joe's dope, but the Packers have a bad game.
He does. Yeah.
Now he is. I saw that he was smart enough to actually. So he's not super biased.
Have y'all had? Yeah, go ahead.
But his fantasy team is heavy on Packers players.
Right.
I'm not super worried about him, but I just gotta hope the week I play him is a week. I think a week the Packers gonna do.
I'm about to say shit. The problem is the Packers look good right now.
Real good.
Yeah.
Their week, their bye week's 5 too. They got a really early bye week, so.
Ooh, I play week 5?
What he gonna do?
I think I played week 5.
Pulling up.
Ooh, you gonna look up like that?
I don't know if you play me or him. I can't remember.
Well, I played one. I thought it was him. It may be you. Because I'm 3-0 right now.
All I know is that if Allen starts playing the right quarterbacks, he can actually do something. I'm just saying, man, because like he beat TJ without Christian McCaffrey. Left Christian McCaffrey in.
Was he hurt?
Nah, yeah, he's hurt for like 4 or 5 weeks. Yes.
Yeah.
He got
Mahomes saved me in my other league. I didn't realize McCaffrey was hurt. I left him in.
Yeah.
Got 0 points off him and still won.
Yeah, he's out for like 4 or 5 weeks.
I gotta make a move.
I played Omar. I played Joe this week.
Ooh. Who they play this week?
They got Atlanta. Got Atlanta Monday night.
I'm sorry, cuz.
Same damn fold on the gang is the same damn dying. How you know I keep it 100 like 52 times. Really quiet when I'm riding with you. But no problem, don't solve it. I'm just vibing with you.
I need Julio to come back.
No, he's supposed to be back.
Keep it.
I hope so.
Eckler was by this
back
week,
at it.
too.
Told that girl throw that back to me. Like 3 tracks ago, I'm the track back bully. They don't know the truth, ain't stating the facts fully. I should probably let it go like the low in the Mac. Pulling up from 40 down by 40, told the 40 for love. Keep it on me, tell you bro, we won't bite shit but the dust. Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded.
Joe has so many players, it's like, he could be right.
40 different flows. Right. 40 down by 40, told the 40 for love. Keep it on me, tell you bro, we won't bite shit.
Yeah, we gonna have a hell of a week.
Homies with what? 40 different flows, they keep it moving.
I don't know that Patriots defense straight.
Yeah, but
So was Baltimore, and he freaking.
Yeah, my other quarterback is Brady, and he playing the Rams, so I'm playing Mahomes.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't start not start Mahomes unless it's a bye week, man.
Pretty much.
I switched. I was smart enough in the Gibbons, because I had Mahomes and
Lamar Jackson.
And I switched Lamar Jackson the week he went
40 down by 40, told the 40 for love. Keep it on me, tell you
I
bro,
think
we
it was
won't
week
bite
2.
shit.
Mahomes
Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded.
He did alright, but he didn't do right.
Don't bite this though, don't come smoke, don't swank it info. I just chopped it up with the little homie, he heart broke. Travis got completely tripping, he say be careful.
Yeah.
I just want some peace, and lately all that I've been getting is a lot of frustration. That's due to ignorance. When I have it since, and when I speak, everybody gets offended. This ridiculous.
week 5.
I just might give up.
Where you see how many people in?
Pulling up from 40 down by 40.
Where you see how many people
40 for love. Keep it on me, tell you bro, you won't bite shit with
the chat.
Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded. All my homies with whatever you is. 40 different flows, I keep it moving. Things change, baby, you don't. Can't think shit you wrong. Draped in that same line, it ain't too strong. Told me I can't do wrong. Baby girl, that's you though. All night chopped it up just like play judo. Dirty dance killer, pulled up on you 2 times. I ain't gotta say it, cause baby, you know the damn vibes. Same damn fold on the gang, it's the same damn dime. How you know I keep it 100 like 52 times? Really quiet when I'm riding with you, but no problems, don't solve it, I'm just vibing with you. So solid, I could never get a box with you. Keep it 110 like 522s. Yeah, I'm back at it, told that girl throw that back to me.
No, we just ain't talking
tracks
to
ago,
me.
on the tracks in the back bully. They don't know the truth, ain't
Nigga,
stating
just cause your power back up don't mean the world.
like Keep it on me, tell you bro, he want my shit with the dust. Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded. All my homies who whatever you is. 40 different rows, I keep it moving up from 40 down by 40.
Bro, you been missing for a week.
Keep it on me, tell you bro, he want my shit with the dust. Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded. All my homies who
Nigga, we not back, bitch. You, we ain't go nowhere. Bro, you ain't prodigal or a son. Not tonight. I'm not even on podcast tonight. It's just TJ and Jay tonight. And it's yeah. You alright? You cool? You gonna be back on set? Bro, you work at sleep? No, man. You didn't even watch half the time.
Keep it on me, tell you bro, you want my shit with the dust. Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded. All my homies who whatever you is. 40 different rows I got. But don't bite this though. Don't come smoke that you ain't get sent for. I just chopped it up with the little homie. He heartbroke. Travis got convicted. Say free careful, I'm sick of this. Family keep on distancing. I just want some peace, and lately all that I've been getting is a lot of frustration. That's due to ignorance. People not having sense, and when I speak, everybody gets offended. It's ridiculous. I just might give up cause ain't no fixing it. Pulling up from 40 down by 40, no 40 for love. Keep it on me, tell you bro, you won't buy shit with the dust. Yeah, it's loaded, yeah, they loaded. All my homies who whatever you is. 40 different rows, I keep it moving. Things change, baby.
I'm talking about the rest of the week.
You wrong, traded in that same line. It ain't too strong, told me I can't do wrong. Baby girl, that's you though. All night chopped it up, it's like you though. Dirty dance killer, pulled up on you 2 times. I ain't gotta say it, cause baby, you know the damn vibes. Same day I pulled on the gang, it's the same damn dime. How you know I keep it 100 like 52 times? Really quiet when I'm riding with you, but no problems, don't solve it, I'm just vibing with you. So solid, I could box up and shoot. Keep it 110 like 522. Yeah, I'm back at it, told that girl throw that back to me. Like 3 tracks ago, I'm the tracks in the back bully. They don't know.
If I'm noticing a speck in your eye, that means we're close. And a lot of people fear intimacy because I don't want you to see into me. So I keep people at a distance. If I can stay up on the stage.
My love for you never died and it never will. That's not how I'm built. But we had shaky foundation, making our hopes of a future impossible to fulfill, making my heart collapse. But it was for the best in hindsight for that time lapse. I got a new pursuit perhaps, but it's hard to say cause she the type to be down for 2 days and be gone for 3. We
Check.
stay consistent.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. We
about
to be
new people popping up from distant memories. How they change.
212, man. 210, man.
I would like someone to keep that
Gonna be
energy.
in the hole,
At least that's
you
what
gotta stay
she
close.
told me. She said that was me, unapologetically. Sorry, I'm calling late. The reception be getting fuzzy. My miles go up. I done spin a shooter to Oklahoma. Decisions like that for something big.
Here, I got you.
Please leave your message for
Oh yeah.
Precious Healing.
Bet. Ain't no pause, man.
Bro, I gotta show you.
It ain't enough wiper fluid to clear my
Talk about
thoughts.
who?
I'm on this road, coasting at 60 miles an hour, missing my queen of hearts. I'm feeling stressed, my eyes getting heavier. No, I can't stop and rest, and that's a bet.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Hope that I play my cards correctly. I never set a young ace. Jokers around me pay me respect. When you see a king, then you bow. I got reticules on your heads. Hustle to feed the family, multiplying the bread. It's a cycle like chain links to the golden ones on their necks. White Iversons plotting to steal the crap when it's dead. But this the soul number 23, slamming it when he fed the rock. I read the clock and I lost the time that I spent on that. Lately I don't check my watch for seconds. I'm not getting back. Lately all my friends is waiting. Now I finish fast. All these rappers food to me. I wonder where my dinner's at.
while we've talked so much about the importance of not living in your past and the danger of living in yesterday, I certainly think that a lot of relationships are sabotaged by things that happened before they ever began, that weren't dealt with. And so we project onto other people trust issues that were developed.
When I hit We Live, is it gonna start the intro?
Another person's actions. And
Yeah. Oh no, it's gonna go straight to y'all.
start saying things to somebody that we
Are you
just
on
met,
that
like, who's
video?
texting you?
Yeah, keep crashing my real
Gotcha.
Okay. We rolling in.
Nah.
And it's not that you ever caught him doing anything. It's just that
Hey,
it's
shut up.
And so now you're
Whoa.
Alright, we in here. Sound check.
We live.
Coming live at you on the September 30th edition of the We Live podcast. I'm your host today, Tyler Stewart, Boogie, whatever you want to call me. Isaiah is out of the office today, so your B mic today is my boy Jay Cobb.
Yes, sir.
The We Live dopeness. Isaiah, hey, we still live, baby. Isaiah ain't gotta be here. We still live. Jay,
Live.
what's up with you, baby?
I'm good, man. How are you, sir?
Man, we living. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How's work, bro?
That was good, man. Kind of an easy day. Didn't really do much. How about yourself?
Man, hectic. But guess what? I still made time to get off.
Good deal.
Go check on the cologne. Pick me up about 4 new fragrances.
Good, great.
Gotta stay on the drip, baby. Gotta
There
stay
you
on the
go.
drip. But did you catch any of the presidential debate today?
I did not, sir. I did not.
You didn't.
No.
Well, let me tell you, we got 2 clowns running for president, and
That's what I
wanna-
hear.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. That's what I want to touch on today. The state of the union, the state of the country. Just 2020 has been a messed up year, man. All the way from all the celebrity deaths we got going on to the state of politics in this country. It just hadn't been a good year overall. And what I want to ask you is how you think the pandemic has affected everyday life, all the way from sports, music, big business, small business, political nature. Just what do you think about it?
I think personally, like, just obviously in the beginning it slowed down a lot. I mean, a lot.
Big time.
I think it's coming back to a little bit of reality, but we're not exactly there yet, especially here in Louisiana. God help us.
Right.
But anyways,
Right.
I mean, because I've been to different states, man. Like I was in Oklahoma last month, I think, or maybe it was August, and it was like completely different than here. I mean, bars were open, nobody was wearing masks inside the bars. And of course, restaurants and stuff, they would still require masks, things of that nature.
Which is silly to me.
Well, a lot of it, I think, is
How am I gonna keep
Yeah.
my mask on if I gotta eat?
right, and a lot of it's politics. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we don't have to dive too much into it. Whether
Yeah, we ain't gotta
the
get
political differences
too
or
far into
alikes
politics.
or anything like that. All we know is this country is completely effed at the moment.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like you
So-
said, we ain't got to go too far into politics. But
Right.
what I do want to ask you though is, you think the government is doing enough, both at a local, state, and a national level?
I think personally, man, it's just I think in some places they're doing a little too much as far as regulations. Especially like I said, here in Louisiana, like we're regulated a lot more than other states are, from what I understand. Obviously, I don't do too much research on it. I just kind of stay in my lane, wear my mask where I'm supposed to, and not, don't where I'm not. So
straight up.
But and I'm not big on politics personally. I'm not even registered to vote personally, because like it's just like you said earlier. It's just like a lot of people have basically said it today. Like we got 2 people that it's kind of like the lesser of 2 evils.
2 wrong children.
Go with.
In other words, pretty much.
But like we said, we don't really have to dive too much into it. But it's just and then also, like, I don't do too much research on it just because, I mean, I kind of, like I said, I stay in my lane, kind of do what I'm supposed to. Right. I was always taught from an early age to honor whoever was in office, so to a point, it's kind of whatever. But other than that, you know, it's just but I don't agree with everything, obviously. I don't agree with a lot that's what's going on in the country and stuff.
Exactly.
But back on the pandemic tip, you know, it's just crazy. It really is. Like, I mean,
it happened so fast.
It did. And now it's starting to actually creep into, I mean, it was already here, obviously, but just today, you know, the NFL actually had their first actual cases during the season.
Really?
The Tennessee Titans actually had 3 players and 5 personnel, which is possibly going to postpone their game this weekend. But and then of course the Minnesota Vikings camp was affected by that too, because they actually played Tennessee Titans last week at their home stadium.
So they got to
So now they got to take the precautions. Nobody can be let into the building until actually Saturday when the games are Sunday. So it's like, what in the world is going on?
That whole situation was crazy to me to begin with, because how are you going to have 22 players on the field, plus all the guys on the bench, and the only people you require to wear masks are the coaches? Nobody's protected. That's for an image, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying players should wear masks, because if you ever played the game of football, that's not a viable option.
Absolutely.
But I say if you're gonna have majority not do it, then nobody should have had to do it. Like, I think Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, I think, got a pretty heavy fine.
Not only them, but my Kyle Shanahan as well as Vic Fangio for the Denver Broncos.
Right.
Personally,
it's silly.
It was personally $100,000 per coach, on top of $250K per club, and so it was close to like $1 million in fines. And then they are going as far as talking about suspending coaches if they are not properly protected during the games. It's ridiculous.
That's silly, because at this point, I feel like that's a political move. I feel like it's less about protection as much as it is about whose pockets can we get into. Who don't want to play ball, who don't want to comply.
Absolutely.
And they're going to target those guys, make them the scapegoat, and say, look, these guys don't want to be safe. They don't want to uphold the guidelines, so they're getting taxed. I think it's a bigger agenda at play. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means necessary, but I do definitely think it's a lot bigger than what is at face value. So I just hate that it's seeped into the game of football, because when you turn football on Sundays, it should be about football. You shouldn't have to worry about, oh, my coach might get fined and we get hit with all kind of regulations because he's not wearing a mask. Like, that is so silly to me.
On, you know, I mean, social injustices.
Oh, man.
NFL's trying their best to, you know, I ain't gonna say combat it, because I don't think there's anything they can personally do on the field that can combat it. But I mean, obviously
they can bring awareness.
They can bring awareness to it, which they have done a decent job from what I could tell. But some clubs, you know, some clubs think, you know, that they haven't done enough, you know, and so and I mean, we don't really have to go too deep into that, but at the same time, you know, it's just on that, and then the protection for the players and coaches and staff and everything else. It's kind of like that in the workforce too, in a way. Because I know CDC changes guidelines every single day on when you can come back to work, how often you need to be tested in certain areas. There's people that are testing positive and coming back to work anywhere from 7 to 10 days after not showing symptoms and things of that nature. It's just crazy. Like, who would have thought that this would be happening? I mean,
right.
It's just kind of I mean, obviously, you know, if you're a believer, you kind of had an idea from what the Bible says about things of that nature, but at the same time, it's just a big it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's unprecedented. Nothing like we've ever went through in our lifetime. Not even back in 2008 when we got hit with H1N1.
Yeah.
Which I think actually accumulated more deaths than COVID has, but just the panic and everything surrounding it was nothing like it is
Not only
now.
that, but Ebola virus and everything else. There's been like swine flu and different kinds of flus that, I mean, it's just crazy. You know, I know in my lifetime and definitely yours and even, you know, everybody else that's associated with this podcast, we would have never dreamed that we'd be having to wear a mask everywhere, staying 6 feet apart, not going in social gatherings over a certain amount of people or at all for that matter.
Exactly.
I know I definitely never have seen anything like this. It's
definitely
crazy.
Gonna be a story to tell our children in the future.
Which, like you said earlier, you know, how has it affected? I mean, I know businesses alone here in Shreveport, I've seen several department stores close their doors.
Yeah, a lot of
possibly
stores and
close
bars
their doors.
that
There's
have been around for a long time.
There has been, obviously one of the biggest revenue streams here in Shreveport is the casinos, you know.
Right.
At first, I know they're probably up and running now, not at full capacity that I know of. I haven't really stepped foot in one in forever, but just kind of wondering how that, you know, had affected them.
Well,
being
anytime
closed.
you lose one of the big boats in the area, like Diamond Jet's closed completely.
Right.
Like anytime you can get something that brings in that much revenue to an area to close down altogether is pretty serious.
Right.
And I think the government down here could have acted sooner in a way that could have prevented that from having to happen. I personally, I feel for having worked in a beverage company for the past 5 years and now being a musician, knowing a bunch of bar owners and all that sort of thing, I can speak from the side of musicians.
Absolutely.
How much they're being hurt by not being able to play. Like, not only the musicians, but the bar owners themselves. They're not getting their live music revenue. They're not able to, you know, have their regulars come sit down in their bar and have a drink. And, man, you got some traditional long-standing bars who've been down here for a long time who are faced with the threat of possibly having to close their doors, and I don't think it's fair. So you get everybody hit all the way from the boats, which is federal, all the way down to small businesses on a more local level, and it's just everybody's hurting right now. And I think some of that hurt could have been mitigated, but we're here now. So
and speaking of hurt, if you haven't already, please join our Patreon because
yes, sir,
we are hurting.
We hurting. But hey, we post all kind of dope content on the Patreon.
Absolutely.
You will not be disappointed. Keep you informed. Yeah, we be wilding.
And it pays for Isaiah to have data to be able to show us what he's showing us.
I want my boy to be able to continue to bring you this podcast, right? I put in the Patreon.
You look decent, huh?
Oh God, hey, y'all don't know what you're missing out on.
We get one Patreon stream.
You don't need anybody to run this because I can do it. Hey, I just got sent out.
The wildin'.
Also, hey to everybody in the chat. Thank y'all. We know it's kind of late. We had some, I ain't gonna say technical difficulties. We were just falling behind a little bit. So
yeah, it took us a little minute, but hey, better late than never.
But we are here, and we appreciate everybody that's come by and that has faithfully supported us. So, let's see.
Sure, yes, sir. You did say something. Who in the chat?
Allie.
What's up, Allie?
Hi, what up,
Angel
bro?
in the chat.
Angel.
What's happening, Angel? You the homie now.
Absolutely.
Alyssa's in the chat.
Hello,
What's
Alyssa.
happening, Alyssa?
Nah, Alyssa ain't in there.
Never mind.
Hey, I take it back.
Well, hello if you watch this later.
If you in the chat, oh God, if you in here, you rocking with us. I just want to say personally, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
So hey,
tell a friend to tell a friend to tell an enemy to tell their friends as well.
Yes, sir.
So,
the ops too. Had them too.
Absolutely, ops, cops, wops, and everything else.
I ain't fooling with no cops. Tell them cut it off, man. Speaking of cops, you said something earlier that was interesting. Racial tension.
Oh Jesus.
Do you think it's gotten worse during this pandemic time, or is it just more people are starting to pay attention because they're bored and don't have anything else to focus on?
You know, I mean, I'm probably not the right one to necessarily answer this question because I feel like I'm gonna get scrutinized for my Caucasianness.
Hey, speak your mind, man. Speak your mind.
The melanin is not on point today. So, anyways, nah, man, it's just as we all know, this stuff's been going on forever. I mean, just forever. You know, I mean, and I know personally, man. You know, I had known about it and stuff like that, and I had seen some stuff over the years, and it's like I was telling Isaiah not too long ago, man. Like I have tried to reach out more and educate myself and learn more. Which I think is what people should do in this time. They shouldn't jump to conclusions. They shouldn't try to justify what has happened, because murder's wrong, death's wrong, killing's wrong. Doesn't matter what the person did or didn't do. Obviously, we have video footage, but we don't know exactly how much of that has been authenticated, as well as how much has been scrutinized. So, just use common sense during this time. Be apathetic to people. Be empathetic to people. I don't know if apathetic's the right word, but be empathetic. I know that's the right word. Ask people how they're doing. Ask people, what you can do to help during this time. If there is anything, if you could just help by sitting over in the corner and keeping your mouth shut and let people do what they do. Stay in your lane.
That's the most help a lot of people can offer.
Obviously, like I said, don't jump to conclusions. Don't put people in a box. Don't stereotype, stuff like that. So
what you said was very important about the learning, educating yourself on certain situations so that you do understand and see another's point of view. I think that's something that's important that a lot of people don't have the ability to do. They can only think from their side that, it must be justified because the police said it, so it must be true, or whatever the case may be, when at the end of the day, it's not always that black and white. There is a gray area that I think a lot of people can't understand. Learn to differentiate right from wrong on your own instead of taking what the media tells you at face value. And everybody can't do it, but for those of y'all who can, I appreciate that. Because it's important.
Definitely.
That tolerance, we all got to be on one accord. But
and
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's that?
Jay, let me ask you a question.
Absolutely. Isaiah was here all along, by the way.
In the cut.
He ain't gonna leave us in this out by himself. So
I would. I'd leave Tyler. Anyway.
It's because I'm white, guys. It's because I'm white.
Yes. The question, bro. So, do you, as a white man? I mean, yeah, you're white. As a white man, do you ever feel like, and I want to say scared because you have no reason to be scared because you're a white man in America, but like, do you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells, like being a white man in America, because it's like, it's so easy for y'all to be racist, like, or like even say a video comes out of one of the police altercations. If you agree with that, you're racist.
Yeah,
off top.
And it's like, I'm not gonna hate because I probably think you do too. Like if I don't, I may not really listen to what you gotta say. Like so I just feel like, what is a white man's perspective on like what position do you sit in? And I'm talking about on a completely selfish note. I'm not talking about like you empathizing for black people right now.
No,
I'm
you're
literally
good.
talking about like, because I feel like, and I have no sympathy for you, but I feel like as a white person right now, it's a terrible time to be a white person. Because like even a white cop,
I think so too.
I feel like white cops, everything you do from now on is gonna be called into question. And until this dies down, I don't think it's gonna die down for a long time if it never does. But like, if I'm a cop, a white cop, and I pull over a black man, I'm gonna be really careful about how I handle that.
Yeah, you gotta be.
So I'm saying, as a white man, in the last year, has the way you interact with black people changed?
Not really.
And I say that because I know some of your habits and the way you interact with black people. So you don't chill with any of that with the current situation going on?
What? You say our habits, because I mean, I think I know what you're
and like, for me, I don't care.
No, I got you.
And I'm being vague. I'm not being, but I'm saying, like, you don't feel like a different kind of tension between you and maybe black people you haven't met yet, based on everything that's happened? I'm not talking about like the way you view them. I'm talking about more about the way
they interact with me and how I interact with them. Yeah. Not really. I mean, obviously, yes. Obviously, I'm not gonna say it's a bad time to be white in America, because it's also a bad time to be black in America. So I think we're gonna come out. But anyways, I mean, I don't know, man. I just I know me personally, I have not changed the way that I interact with certain people now. To what you're referencing, yes, I have calmed down with the way that I speak to people, the way that I interact with people, on a, I ain't gonna say emotional level, but it's challenging. I also think that I handle myself a little bit different than most people, because like I don't care who you are, I'll talk to you, I'll interact with you. Someone says something to me or comes up to me in a store, I'll hey, how you doing, this, that, and the other. Right. If they do have a problem with me, it's like, oh, I apologize, didn't know that I was doing whatever I was doing, did not mean it by any ways. But I personally haven't had a incident or altercation where I have felt threatened or anything like that. So that's the best way that I can answer it. Okay,
well, question for Tyler.
What was that?
Where do you stand on the way the riots? Like, do you think it is at all justified? The reason I ask is because there's people who look at it. Me personally, I don't. Right. But there's people in the looting. I don't want to call them riots, but a lot of them aren't called riots. But there are people who are on the side of like, that's not the way to protest. Mm-hmm. And I get that. But there's also people who say the way to protest hasn't worked in the last 6 years. And I get that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what does it take? You know what I'm saying? Because like, they pay a lot more attention to this, but I feel like that twists the narrative. So it's like, how do you feel about, what's your outlook on that?
I don't think it helps, but at the same time, if your people been oppressed for as long as our people have, and you've been locking arms, singing Kumbaya and marching in the street for years, and it still ain't changed, you be pissed off too. So I definitely understand the anger, but do I think it's the right thing to do? No. At the same time, now, with a lot of this looting, it's not all black people. There's a lot of white people, Mexican people, who are taking their opportunity to capitalize off of the panic. Right. And they're getting a lot of it in too, and a lot of black people are being blamed for it.
Mm-hmm. Like that, what was it that got burned down? There was something that got burned down. It's a white woman burned down like a Wendy's.
Mm-hmm. They tried to quick to blame it on Black Lives Matter, which is not an organization. I hate to hear people say Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group. It was never a group. Yeah. It was a phrase from the get-go that people took and turned into a group.
Now it's an organization. Yeah.
It is now.
Started that, Alan says, what is the right thing to do? And I know that you kind of just said, like, it's kind of hard to say.
Because, right.
You got to understand where the people who are doing this thing are coming from. But I guess he's saying, what's the right thing to do? In my eyes, I'm interested on how you feel about this.
Really. There needs to be an understanding of some point. Now I'm saying But
I think he's coming more so what's it gonna take? You know what I'm saying? Because like kumbayas don't work.
No, they don't. Yeah. They don't.
Rioting and looting.
That arguably makes it worse than the peaceful protests do.
So what's it take? What's the right thing to do?
I think, me personally, and it's probably not a popular answer, I think it takes time. I think that's the only thing that's going to do it, because if you look at it now, a lot of the older white people who are raising some of the younger ones grew up during that civil rights era. You think about some of our grandparents or great-grandparents who grew up during the 50s and 60s. That's not a long time ago. A lot of them grew up in the time where they still had segregated water fountains.
Right on, Katie.
I think we need to put some distance between it.
I don't think you're wrong. Let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Oprah Winfrey's in the 60s.
Right.
There were no Cam Newtons in the 60s.
No.
But there are now.
Yep.
And the only reason there is time. Reform, but the reform wouldn't happen unless some white man's mind changed.
Yeah.
And some white man's mind changed because one white man said, okay, this makes more sense.
And I feel like some of them are too far gone at this point. They've been too racist for too long. We just need them to die out at this point. That's about the only thing that's going to kill it.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I think this country is not built for forceful change.
No, it's not going to happen.
I mean, and it's happened once or twice, but the systems remain. People don't get that. Like, you can change as many laws as you want. Things happen systematically, and like, even, just like when slavery ended, that still had its effects for years.
Yeah.
So,
arguably, still to this day.
God, you have slaves?
I don't have slaves.
Why you smile when I said that?
I don't have a slave because I feel like
I've never had a slave.
I've never had a slave.
You ever wanted a slave?
I've not wanted a slave.
Does your family have slaves?
No, not that I'm aware of. Obviously,
where your family from? I got a homie. His last name's Cobb. He's black.
Yeah.
You think maybe y'all owned him?
I don't think so.
What did Alan say? Like with time? I mean,
he said like that with time. Okay, so Alan's full comment was, do y'all think we could have gotten this far without the civil rights movement? Heck no.
No. Martin Luther King and even Malcolm X were very important, and not only them, Al Sharpton, which at this point it's just become a publicity thing to people like Al Sharpton at this point, just to say I was there back at the time, because let's face it, they haven't done anything in years. It's just an image at this point to say I was there back then. But the work they did at the time is very important to where we are today, and it can't be negated or frowned upon in any kind of way. So I definitely say it was important. But would you call this period we're in now like a new civil rights movement per se?
So why can't this moment be the same thing? And
it can be.
Yeah,
it can be. I think so. But
I don't think people get that. Like Martin Luther King, it had its effects, but it didn't fix it.
No, it didn't.
I think that's what people are missing, the big picture. Like I said, legislation may get changed.
Right.
But that's not going to fix the issues we have. No legislation is going to keep a bullet out of a black man's head.
No, because you can't fix people's heart.
Exactly. And that's what I think that's what you're emphasizing. So I'm going to back off again, but this is the topic I'm passionate
about. Yeah. Oh, no, you good. We about 30 minutes in.
Oh, hell. Okay. I know he said he had a question. Someone said they can call it.
Yeah, we're 31 minutes in, but I guess we can...
we'll cut it. Wait, is it actually 30 minutes?
31.
Well, remember, y'all started 4 or 5 minutes late.
Yeah, we said about
we started the countdown at 11:15, and it's now 11:46. So we got probably about...
We got time for about one more question. Yeah.
Let me see if he said he had a question. I'm gonna call. He asked if he could call in. I said that's fine. That time say 39:40.
Thank you, Alan. Quality control.
So, y'all heard about
what did we hear?
Bro, Jay, talk. Your job is to talk.
What did we hear?
Bro, bro.
Oh.
Why you wear your hats backwards? That don't block the sun.
Why do I wear my hat backwards? Because my ears poke out if I don't.
Is there a question? Put it by the mic.
Oh, what's going on, Kay?
What's good, man?
Man, it's all good. What you got?
Shit. So, I mean, Isaiah, no, I always got the questions. Basically, do y'all think that the whole like racial war will actually ever end, or will there always be that tension between differences of color as long as we live? Like, do you think that at one point that it like left, and now it's just now getting bad, or that it will always be here and that's all that, and that's what it's gonna be?
That's a good
get used to it.
That's a good question, because personally, I don't think it ever ends. Not 100%, but yeah. I think, because like I said earlier, those same grandparents now who grew up with those racist ideals have passed them down to their grandchildren, who will ultimately pass it to their children. It will keep going, but however, over time it'll thin out. Right. Eventually, and who's to say how long this is, whether we ever see it in our lifetime or maybe it's in our children's lifetime, eventually those racists will be the minority. The position of power that they have now won't last forever. Now, sad to say, we won't ever get to experience that world. As long as we're alive, that's just what it's gonna be.
One day it'll be non-existent.
Oh yeah, one day they'll be the minority.
Yeah,
racists will be hiding in the bunker underground like they fighting the Terminators, but
because the power will leave,
right?
And not just like my bad, Jade. Not just in a way like white people in power, just like racism in itself being a power. It will be dead one day, and the people who are still racist will be shunned upon.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel that. I agree. I feel like it will be thinned out. I feel like it was thinning out. Yeah. It's just I feel the whole pandemic and all this bullshit that's been happening with the few bad apples of cops doing black people dirty. It like made it more sensitive.
Yeah.
That's what I think that happened, because it was fine before this.
I won't. I disagree. I don't think it was fine. I think it was out of people's mind.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This pandemic. I'm not saying it wasn't there or it wasn't happening. I'm just saying it wasn't as like looked upon. Like it wasn't like a popular topic. No one cared. Really, it wasn't bad enough to catch media attention. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Of course, because now people they sitting at home bored. They not at work. Yeah. They looking at social media all day and saying, "Oh, it's gotten worse." Nah, it's been here. It's just now y'all are finally having a reason to pay attention to it.
Already. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it never went away for us.
Yeah, for sure. We've always had that little tension when getting in the car and going to work. You can be pulled over and shot. Exactly. We've always had that.
Exactly.
Since the beginning.
Yep.
But now it's being looked at.
It's just, man, it's terrifying raising, black children in America. That's a reality of it.
So, you got some white people who, all right, but before I even get into that question, there's another fucking question. They were saying every white person is inherently racist because they haven't lived in a black person's life and doesn't know how we live or respect it. Do you believe that is true?
That's the sentiment.
That's the sentiment. I don't think it's true, though.
You don't think it's true?
I don't think it makes it racist.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think benefiting from white privilege makes you racist at all. Not when not when this country has been built on it. I think and this may be crazy, I think and maybe it's a me thing, when I catch white people standing on the side of the street homeless and stuff like that, I look at when everything was stacked to help you win, how do you still end up in this position?
A lot of people choose to do that too, though.
That's true. That's true. And I'm not saying just because you're white that you're supposed to be rich, you're supposed to have it. I'm not saying that by far. Economy attacks everybody, but I'm just saying.
And I'm just gonna put it out there I also agree with that. I don't believe every white person is inherently racist. I thought that was bullshit when I heard it. I do feel like the ones that are racist feel like what's being done to us, we deserve it for some reason. I don't know why. Like, we were slaves in the beginning of time. Why do we deserve even more hurt? You know?
Honestly, I think they're more likely to be inherently racist. Well, of course.
Well, of course, more likely. Yeah.
Because what reason does a black man have to be racist except for hate or resentment?
Just pure hate, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just pure hatred.
And and it's not true. I was going to say something false. I was about to say there's no sense of superiority when it comes to the black man, but that's not true. Because especially now, a lot of black people are starting to believe that. And I feel like, me and T discussed this once, I feel like a lot of black people have kind of gotten in a flipped mindset that's comparative to the old superiority. Like,
I see what you're saying.
Oh, no doubt.
Where they don't want equality anymore.
They want black superiority.
Now they want black superiority in response to being enslaved.
We're not wanting equality. We want superiority, which is why no matter how much legislatively or sympathetically a white person or a white organization fixes it,
it'll never be enough for some people.
Because we don't want to be equal anymore. You know what I'm saying? We want what we've seen you been getting for years.
And so I don't think that's realistic.
It's not.
I don't think just because we've been oppressed forever that, it's our turn now. Now we should get to oppress y'all. No, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right.
So basically now, 75% probably of the black population feels like they are owed something.
Yeah, that's exactly how they feel.
So it will never go away. We feel like now we own the world. We should own the world.
Kate just said she believes all white people are inherently racist.
Inherently.
Which means she
inherently racist.
I think the thing that complicates that conversation is your definition of what racist is.
That's true.
I think that's what is I think that's something people get away from. What is the definition of racism? Like, let's not water down the definition. And I think that's one of those words where there is no the definition.
No, it's not, because a lot of people will tell you that the definition of racism includes a position of power, and I think that's false.
Yeah.
They'll say black people can't be racist, that they can only be prejudiced. I don't believe that. I think black people can be racist.
Yeah.
I think that's where people really need to work out. Let's stop believing. Let's figure out what the term
what is the actual right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then again, the definition of inherently racist.
So if we look at Oxford,
and then again, you gotta look at the definition. Then again, you gotta look at the definition of inherently racist. Because if Katie feels like all white people are inherently racist, she's white. And she's not racist. I don't believe. So what is her definition of inherently racist if she's white and she feels all white people are racist?
The definition is the inability or refusal to recognize the rights, needs, dignity, or value of people of particular races or geographical origins. More widely, the devaluation of various traits or of character or intelligence as typical of particular people.
It says nothing there about a position of power.
Yeah, that would necessarily say that.
Right.
Exactly. And Katie's not racist. So how can she feel all white people are inherently racist if she's white and she's not racist? Inherently.
Maybe she means inherently as in without being conditioned not to be, that's the side they lean to, which I don't think that's true, because I think hate is taught. Hate is 100% taught.
I think it's human nature.
For one, hate is an emotion. A lot of people forget that. Hate is an emotion.
I think it's human nature, but I think that you're taught to hate specific things. But I think there are some people, like someone had to just do it for no reason one day, or someone had to have a reason and try to. Maybe their vendetta was that big. I don't know, but I don't necessarily agree that all white people are inherently racist. Which I know that's probably weird coming from two black men hearing that, but I don't agree that all white people are inherently racist.
I don't think so either.
But
I definitely don't.
I think that's because I see the definition different. Everyone always says definitions change, and I get the definitions change, but like I feel like if there's a better way to say it the better way. You know what I'm saying? Like if that term is divisive and confusing, find a better way to say it, or just say what you want to say rather than using a term like inherently racist that sounds like it's saying someone hates black people when they don't hate black people. Because that's what it sounds like. If I hear that, if a white person came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Katie, I'm inherently racist," get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. Straight up.
Hey, okay, with the things that are going on, can y'all answer me this? Do y'all feel the world wants this more than peace? Do y'all feel like that could be a thing? Like, this is what the world's supposed to be? Like, because if you think about it, the beginning of life started as tribalism, where, this is my tribe, your tribe's over there, stay over there. Do you feel like it's an inherited, like, hatred? And that's why the world likes it so much now. Because that's what we're all supposed to be doing. Like, you stay over there, we stay over here.
Before y'all jump on that, guys, Kate said she means that it's something white people have to actively unlearn. That's not always the case.
I think racism is learned itself.
Exactly. I think that it can be the case, and it probably is the case in a lot of cases, but it's not always true. When you say it's inherent, that means that like it happens all the time. What if a white kid's raised by a black family? You think they have to unlearn being racist?
Exactly.
No. They love black people because they're raised by black people. I get that they're saying that's not generally the case, but what I'm saying is that white people are not naturally racist. That's not how it works.
A lot of times if you leave them unchecked, a little white kid and a little black kid, they'll play together and everything's perfect. It's not until the parent puts stuff into their mind that it starts to become a problem.
Exactly.
And I feel it's not like I don't get why they think that way, because I think that if you treated it that way, or if all white people looked at it like, okay, I'm inherently racist, if a white person believes that, they're going to do more work to be better if they are that way. So it's not a destructive mindset to believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As a white person. Sure. But I think as a black person it can be, because if I think you're inherently racist, when I meet you, I'm going to check you and see how racist you still are. And I think that's it may not be a destructive mindset for the white people, but I think that's where it comes. That's how closed-minded black people come about, because it's like, I'm finna see how racist you are. If that's how I view it.
Straight up. Hey, we getting in depth on this topic. I know we can went about 15 minutes over at this point.
Oh God.
So, hey, that being said, I appreciate all y'all for coming out and hanging with us on this special episode of the We Live podcast. And y'all stay up, be easy. Sound check.
We live.
We're gonna skate to one song.
And down love the kid. Down love the kid. Down love the kid. Down love the kid. I still know I do it, but I knew it. Undisputed. With this music. Down love the kid. In my city, if you risky, you could lose it quick. Yeah, but I still know I knew it, but I knew it.
Yes, I do. Hey, nothing to this.
I think he got a racist bone. I feel like I'm making my boy uncomfortable with it. Not at all.
They don't love them, they don't love it, they don't love it. But
like, it's not like I think he's excited.
Up in the morning, boy, I spaz what I want to make the situation cool and understand, huh? Had to wake up, I heard him snoring. And shorty think we doing, believe it or not, I'm just saying what she told me. Ay, stuff like that have humble tight. He's so mad that he can't type. We don't dance with them boys, we just keep them in our sight. Colder than Victor Freeze, revenge is the dish tonight. Serve it up with extra salt, cause they harsh, just won't take it right. Price to pay for trying to play.